Good afternoon, everyone. This is another lesson video for my health class in the Arts Academy at Benjamin Rush. Just to go and give you a heads up, this is going to be a relatively short video concerning um, the laws involving sexual activity that you need to be aware of and need to be able to know. So, with that said, I'm going to go and record a share of the screen. There's no sound involved. And let's get through this. So as you can see right here, we have this website about the laws involving sex. This is a topic page. This topic page, I don't know if I'm going to have this. It might be linked in the YouTube description. If not, just go to karabihealthpe.com. You'll be able to go onto the sexual health unit and then be able to click on this. And as you see at the top, the most important thing to remember in terms of what the law says about sex is specifically the age of consent. But there's a bunch of other laws as well. I bring your attention to this website, Sex in the States. And as you open that up and go to Sex in the States, you'll see that it has all of the United States in there. That includes Alaska and Hawaii. It doesn't look like they have Puerto Rico, Guam, or any other American territories that are not part of the United States. It does have DC, but let's talk about Pennsylvania. And you click on Pennsylvania and you scroll down, and it tells you all of the laws associated with sexual health in terms of teens and what they know or need to know, or what it says. So their rights for sex ed, the age of minority, the age of consent, STI prevention, pregnancy, sexting, abortion access, HIV/AIDS testing, LGBTQ plus laws associated, contraception, emergency contraception. And it tells you what a teen's rights are. And this is not saying it's condoning any, I'm not saying I'm condoning anything in terms of what parents would give permission to do or not do. I'm just telling you that within the state of Pennsylvania, there's specific laws associated with sex. And one of the things that I want to bring to your attention is specifically the age of consent. Now, you can totally go and read about this age of consent and whatnot on this page. And just to circle what I'm talking about all of these rules, you can see the different bullet points. But I'm also going to go and show you let's just go and clear all the drawings. I'm also going to go and show you a different graphic. So if we may, if you scroll down further on the website, there's this other graphic that I took off of line called the age of consent in Pennsylvania. So in the state of Pennsylvania, and let's go and zoom in here for a second. In the state of Pennsylvania, the age of consent is officially 16 years old. There's also some other rules and caveats to go about that or not. No matter your age, it doesn't matter if you're 40, you cannot consent if you're involved in an institution with the person. So that would be a state or county jail, a school, whether that be a teacher or a coach, personal care group home, and another residential facility, surviving youth. And it also goes with college campuses as well. So if you have a student who is of age, they cannot legally consent to sexual relations with a teacher. Double check with your specific school to see if they have specific rules against that. But in the state of Pennsylvania, teachers and coaches, regardless of their age, cannot have consensual sex with a student. Now, that's important before we go any further, because even though you might say, well, what happens if you have an 18 or 19-year-old freshman and a graduate student who's only 20 years old? If you have a graduate student that's just 20 years old, maybe 19 and 20, they're so close and they could date and they could hang out, and that's fantastic. but there's still an institutional law, so you can't be able to have sexual relations. They can't give consent. And along with that, you cannot give consent. There's an age and experience clause that you cannot give consent if there is a power imbalance. So the easiest way to say that there's a power imbalance is if there's a supervisor in a workplace, maybe you're the same age, maybe you're both, I don't know, maybe you're both 16 years old, but there is an imbalance of power because your manager at like Wendy's or something like that, even they're the same age of you, they are your boss. So there's an imbalance of power, so you can't give consent in that particular case. And a younger child who's, I don't know, let's just say that they're 15 or 16 years old or something like that, cannot consent to sexual relations with a person who is like, I don't know, in care of being their babysitter or is I don't know what other examples would be. You have to check with the law, but in any case, there is a close in age exception in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, this statement that I'm about to make, I am using just fact. I am not condoning this or saying that it's wrong. So I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. This answers are all about personal experiences, all about personal values on whether you think it's wrong or not. But there's a close in age exception. So technically, you're not supposed to be able to have consensual sex until you are at least age 16. But if you are 13, 14, or 15 years old, and the partner that you're choosing to be sexually active with is not 4 years older than you or not, then you are not legally permitted to consent to sex, but it is permissible under the allowances of the close in age law. So a 13-year-old could say yes to a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old, but they could not say yes to a 17-year-old. A 15-year-old can say yes to a 16, a 17, or an 18-year-old. They cannot say yes to a 19-year-old, and so forth. So people ages 16 and older can legally consent to sexual activity, more or less, but then you run into these like other gray areas. So an example of another gray area would be you're already in a relationship, it's already sexual and physical, and then one of the partners has a birthday and changes to be too old within the close in age exception. And do they have to all of a sudden stop having sex? And like, a lot of us would be like, yeah, you should, like, there's something wrong with that. And others would be like, well, I don't see that there's anything wrong with that. So everybody's different with what their decisions are going to be, but the answer goes that it has to be proven that you were in a prior sexual relationship. So as a health teacher, I would say it might not be worth the risk to be involved in a relationship like that, because if you're hiding your sexual activity from your parents and then the age range ends up being that is too much after a birthday is taken, and then there could be one of the set of the parents could have charges drawn up, and then there's a whole investigation, and it's not going to be easy to be able to prove that you did not violate the statute. So generally speaking, it is 16 by law. It is 16 by law. There is the close in age exception. You cannot give consent regardless of age if there's an imbalance or if you are involved in any sort of institution as a caregiver, supervisor, or coach with a person in the state of Pennsylvania. There's also some additional laws in the state of Pennsylvania. You can look them up by going to our webpage and clicking on the prohibited consensual sexual activity in the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania at this moment does not have any laws regarding vaginal or anal sex, which are commonly referred to as sodomy laws. Some states do, so you would have to look up the individual states' laws if you were going to be moving or going on vacation or anything like that. There's also links to the worldwide age of consent and the United States age of consent state by state. The state by state website on, I think it's actually just a Wikipedia to tell you the truth. Oh no, ageofconsent.net. It actually tells you whether the state has a close-in age exception or not, and whether the consent age is 16, 17, 18. I don't think that there's any higher than 18, and there is none younger than 16 within the United States, 50 United States. And there's also a worldwide age of consent, which you have to see it to believe it, but the ages of consent vary from no such thing as an age of consent. No, this is for states, sorry. Where there's no such thing as age of consent to that you must be married. These are usually theocracies, specifically Muslim theocracies these days, or it's as young as 11. And some scary thoughts about that. Most of the countries that have consensual ages of 11 or 12 also have high rates of sex trafficking. So this is a relatively short video having to do with the law. Sorry for that awkward pause. I thought I was sharing a video screen with you, but it's okay. You can go onto the website and be able to follow along. Next video is going to be specifically about the rules associated with consent. So you should click on the link at the end to be able to get to that. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.